Hey 703, this video will be looking at expressing probability in the form of decimals, fractions, and percentages. It's recommended that when you do this skill that you have your scientific calculator readily available, as we'll be using the two main buttons from here, the fraction button, which is located here, and the SD button, which is located here. The fraction button just lets you insert a fraction. Just make sure that you use the cursor pad down and across when you're inserting a fraction. And the SD button, S just stands for standard and D just stands for decimal. So we're converting standard or fraction form to decimal form and vice versa. From this skill, the first question says the chance of Sadie's team winning a netball match is 1 in 2. Which is the probability expressed as a percentage? Now we know that the correct answer for this case is 50%, but how you work this out is by putting this 1 over 2 as a fraction and press equals. And this will show the answer as fraction form. You then take this and multiply it by 100. And this will show you the relative percentage to 1 in 2 chance. And this is why the answer is 50%. Question 2 shows that the chance of selecting a red jelly bean from a jar is 4 in 10 chance, which is a probability expressed as a decimal. So here we put the 4 in 10 chance as a fraction equals. Now this will simplify it down to 2/5, but it's not asking for the simplified version, it's asking for it to be expressed as a decimal. And this is where we use the SD button here to show what 4 over 10 is as a decimal. So the correct answer is 0.4. This question here is asking if a card is selected without looking, what is the probability of selecting a red card as a decimal? So we know that we have to put this in the form of a fraction. The amount of red cards in this case is 3, and the amount of cards all up, remember including the red cards, is 4. Now we press equals and press the SD button, and this will give the 0.75 in decimal form, which is there as the correct answer. Likewise, with this question here, if a card is selected without looking, what is the probability of selecting a red card as a percentage? So we put it in fraction form. There's 1 out of 5 cards all up that is red, and we want to get this as a percentage. Now we can press equals. What I'm going to do is I'm going to press across here, and I'm just going to times this by 100. Remember, when we're trying to find a percentage, regardless of whether it's in fraction or decimal form, you multiply it by 100 and that will give you your percentage. So in this case, it is 20%. If you watched the previous video, it showed that you had to order likelihoods from smallest to largest, or sometimes largest to smallest, but the answers provided to you, or what you have to order, are either given in decimal or in fraction form. And I did say you might get a question like this when a percentage is also given as well. So when we have to drag these probabilities from least likely to occur to most likely to occur, we have to make sure that these answers are all consistent. The 25% and the 80% we can keep as is. However, the 0.4, if we just times this by 100, that will give us the relative percentage. So 0.4 is the same as 40%. I'm hoping by now that half, you should know, is 50%. And 0.7 is 70%. When you have these all in a consistent format of percentages, you can go ahead and rank them from least to most likely to occur. One more example here. What is the probability of the spinner landing on yellow as a decimal? So the first thing we have to do is we have to count out how many yellow spots there are within the spinner. In this case, there are 4. Then we have to count how many there are all up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now to press down and click on 10. just make sure that when you are going to answer this as a decimal, you have to press equals first, then press the SD button. You can't put the fraction in and then press the SD button straight away. You have to tell the calculator, this is what I want, and by telling that, you just press the equals button. It will simplify it, if it can be simplified, but then after you press the equals button is then when you can press the SD button to get your answer of 0.4. And that is the end of this video. Make sure that you try your best when you do these worksheets, and I'll see you in the next video.